Among the many battles that are currently being waged in Washington right now, how to strengthen our middle class. So a new report from the Federal Reserve finds that corporate profits are through the roof. Look at that. Even as wages stagnate or go down. In fact, profits are up 20% from this time last year, when they also set a record. And at the same time, wages, believe it or not, look at this, are at a record low. They're now just 43% of gross domestic product, which is the lowest they have ever been in history. Wild. And perhaps no company better illustrates this trend than Walmart. Its workers went on strike on Black Friday, as you know, in 100 cities across 46 states. The strike was to protest their low wages. Well, the average Walmart worker makes $8 an hour. And at the same time, the family that owns Walmart, the Waltons, those few have a combined wealth, check it out, the six of them, of $103 billion, which equals, that means those six people are worth more than the entire bottom 40% of the country. Can you believe that? And to match their fortune, the average Walmart employee would have to work for, get this, 7 million years to match that kind of wealth. So joining us now from Washington is Pat Garofalo. He is the economic policy editor for Think Progress at the Center for American Progress Action Fund. Pat, welcome inside the War Room.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I think it's Garofalo, right, if I get it right?
Yep, that's the one.
Garofalo, all right. So the president is accused, Pat, of being anti-business. But those numbers, in terms of the amount of corporate profits, are telling you something else, are they not?
That's absolutely true. Corporate profits, we've seen record after record after record. President Obama, for better or for worse, has been very good for big business. One of the strongest stock market performances of this and the last century, in fact. And so those charges that we hear from the right about how he's anti-business, how he simply doesn't like businessmen, businesses themselves keep defying that storyline by making all this money.
Yeah, for sure. And so what policies, I'm always interested in the policy remedy, especially on the wage side. What policies should the president be pushing to help workers? And does he have a mandate to do that after the election?
The simplest policy is simply increasing the minimum wage. If the minimum wage had just kept up with inflation over the last several decades, it would be over $10 an hour now, and that would take care of not all of the problem, but some of it.
So do you think there's political will to raise the minimum wage?
Democrats tried last year to introduce a bill to take the minimum wage up to about $10. It didn't go anywhere. Instead, we seem to focus on manufactured crisis after manufactured crisis, things like the fiscal cliff, which is a Washington creation and isn't actually real. So I don't know. I'm not sure if there is any political will to increase the minimum wage. It'd be nice if there were.
It certainly would, maybe even in a trade as they figure out what they want to do in maybe reforming the tax code, at least indexing it to inflation. While the Waltons' wealth has grown, though, Congress decided to cut the estate tax, which of course is something the Waltons have been pushing for years. What would re-implementing the estate tax do? Of course, if you go over the fiscal cliff, those old rates come into effect. Is there any chance that you would see an estate tax?
It's certainly possible. If we go over the fiscal cliff, then it's automatically back to the Clinton era level, which is much higher than the estate tax is right now. If you think about the last time we saw the estate tax bounce around, in 2010, there actually was no estate tax at all. So I think if you're talking purely about the estate tax, maybe the smartest thing to do is to just go over the cliff. And then those who want it higher are going to be in a much better position than negotiating now, where it's lower than it has been historically.
Absolutely. I think the Waltons should pay their fair share, too. Walmart, of course, and I focused on Walmart because it is such an iconic contrast with how much people are making and how much corporate profits are being pocketed. Walmart is now, though, taking away health benefits to some employees who work fewer than 30 hours a week, saying that the federal government will provide health care through Obamacare. That's the rationale they're giving. So do you think that's another example of, taxpayers picking up the tab for Walmart?
Absolutely. I don't think we should single out Walmart. There's certainly other corporations. If you look at the strikes that happened in New York City last week, fast food workers walking out of Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's and Burger King, all these corporations that market low price goods, so they do very well during an economic downturn when people are drawn to lower price goods. But now, because unemployment is so high, workers have no real leverage to force these corporations to raise their wages. So you see a company like McDonald's, like Walmart, like Yum Brands, which owns KFC and Taco Bell, making huge profit margins. McDonald's profits over the last 4 years are up 130%, and yet they're still paying most of their employees minimum wage or barely higher.
All right. Well, that's Pat Garofalo. I really appreciate you coming inside. We know that if you increase the